JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, Chinese nationals injured after vehicle shot up in Mandeville robbery attempt. Two Chinese nationals received minor injuries following a brazen robbery attempt and attack by gunmen on Kendall Road in Mandeville on Monday. Head of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Shane McCullough, confirmed that the incident happened mid-morning. He said police investigators believe the gunmen were after cash being transported by the Chinese men. They tried to stop the vehicle. We believe they were after an undetermined sum of money in the vehicle, said McCullough. The Chinese nationals reportedly sped off, at which time the gunmen opened fire on the vehicle. The Chinese nationals were reportedly grazed and treated at hospital. Superintendent McCullough is appealing to business people and citizens to remain vigilant and use security arrangements to transport large sums of cash. They should seek to put in the necessary security arrangements so as to mitigate incidents like these, he said. Spanish Town Road murder was a reprisal for painland killing, say cops. Police investigators say Sunday's killing of a man on Spanish Town Road, Kingston 11, was a reprisal for a murder that occurred the day before. Odiri Dossard, a 33-year-old welder, was killed while another man was shot and injured by gunmen who opened fire on them. Police said Dossard's murder was in retaliation for the killing of 27-year-old Shaquille Gallimore, who goes by the aliases Jamar and Jagger. He was shot multiple times at his home Saturday morning. The deceased men reportedly resided a stone's throw away from each other on Delacree Lane in Painland, St. Andrew. Investigators are still trying to determine what triggered the first attack. On Saturday, police said around 5:05 a.m., residents heard several loud explosions sounding like gunfire, made checks, and stumbled upon Gallimore lying on the ground, suffering from what appeared to be gunshot wounds to his upper body. The authorities were alerted, but residents hurriedly assisted Gallimore to the Kingston Public Hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries while undergoing treatment. Police found 8 spent shells while processing that murder scene. In Sunday's killing, police said about 3:30 p.m., residents heard explosions and summoned them. On their arrival, Dossard and the other man were seen with gunshot wounds. They were taken to hospital, where Dossard succumbed to his injuries while being treated, and the other man was admitted for treatment. Clarendon man killed after probing sounds outside his home. Police in Clarendon are probing an incident in which a man died after he heard sounds outside his home and went to investigate in the wee hours of Monday morning. The dead man has been identified as 47-year-old Giovanni Parkinson, otherwise called Orain, from Parkhall District in Frankfield in the parish. Police said about 2:30 a.m. Parkinson was at home with other relatives when they heard sounds as if someone was outside. He went to make checks, and shortly after, family members reported hearing him shouting as if he was in distress. They opened the door and saw Parkinson crawling up to the front veranda blooded. He reportedly became unresponsive shortly after. The police were summoned, and on their arrival, the body of the now deceased was seen blooded on the front veranda of the home, clad in a white polka dot shirt and brown cut-off foot pants. Police said Parkinson had chop wounds to his head, upper body and hands. He was pronounced dead at hospital. The Frankfield police have commenced an investigation. Police probing suspected drowning in St. Elizabeth. The St. Elizabeth police are investigating the suspected drowning death of a woman in Thornton district near Shiloh in the parish on Sunday. The police have identified the deceased as 55-year-old Desiree Powell, otherwise called Rose, a resident of Thornton. It's understood that Powell was found in a river which is close to her home. A police report said Powell's caregiver left her at home and upon returning discovered she was missing. A source said that shortly after 4 p.m., residents found Powell's body in the river. Her body was retrieved and removed to the morgue. J Man, associate of Squash, to return to court on February 15. Murder accused Jarim J Man Shelton, a music producer who is a known associate of dancehall artist Squash, will return to court on February 15 for a hearing or status conference as he faces 2 charges of first-degree murder in the United States. The hearing will be held at 8:30 a.m. in the Circuit Court of the 17th Judicial Court for Broward County in Florida. Shelton is being held on a no-bond hold in relation to the double homicide. The Lauderhill Police Department has remained tight-lipped on new developments in the case. The Lauderhill Police Department's investigation into that case is still active, and as such, will not be releasing information on an open investigation. Major Michael Santiago, Special Operations Commander or Public Information Officer of the Lauderhill Police Department, said Major Santiago would not disclose more information about the impending arrest of other suspects who may have been present during the double homicide. Shelton was held and charged on October 25 after forensic and video evidence allegedly placed him at the crime scene of a double murder. Shelton was identified as investigators allegedly matched his blood to 3 samples retrieved from the crime scene. According to the arrest affidavit filed in the Circuit Court of the 17th Judicial Court for Broward County, Florida, the men he's accused of killing have been identified as a freelance hitman called Dwayne Musselman Francis and Jeff Ford Lord Murray, who are well-known personalities in the Lauderdale community in South Florida. Both victims sustained multiple gunshots to the head and the face. The shooting was captured on surveillance cameras. The police revealed that just after 9 p.m. on October 19, 2022, the Lauderdale Police Department responded to 5821 Blueberry Court regarding a shooting. Officers arrived on the scene and encountered 2 adult males suffering from apparent gunshot wounds in the parking lot area. The males were pronounced dead at the scene. Witness accounts indicate that there were other people involved in the shooting who had fled the scene in a vehicle before the arrival of the police. All of the shots came from 4 individuals in the black sedan, as the victims had been ambushed and unable to fire a shot to defend themselves, the court document said. A black sedan matching the description of the car from the crime scene then dropped off a light-skinned individual wearing the same tight-fitted blue jeans at the HCA Florida Woodmont Hospital, approximately 6 miles away. The light-skinned individual was admitted in critical condition. Officers attempted to identify him via local database fingerprints to no avail, the document said. This male was later identified by the Border Patrol fingerprint scanner as Jarim Shelton. Jarim Shelton is a Jamaican national citizen who entered the country illegally but is on parole status until he sees a judge about his status, the arrest affidavit said. Jamaican woman deported from Cayman to face murder charges. A Jamaican woman accused of murdering a Kingston man was last week deported from the Cayman Islands to face murder charges. 20-year-old Ashley Williams, a resident of Denham Town, Kingston, was arrested and later deported from the island. Williams has since been charged with the November 30 murder of 47-year-old David Rowe from Jonestown, Kingston. 22-year-old Giovanni Thompson has also been charged in relation to the incident. Reports say Rowe was at his house when he was approached by Thompson and Williams. A fight broke out, and Williams allegedly used a knife to stab Rowe multiple times. Thompson allegedly used an illegal firearm to shoot Rowe. Thompson was apprehended during a police operation in Manchester last month. Investigations into the incident are ongoing. Indicom probing St. James police shooting incidents, leaving men of unsound mind dead. The Independent Commission of Investigations, Indicom, has launched an investigation into 2 separate fatal shootings by police at the weekend. Both incidents in St. James resulted in the deaths of 2 men of unsound mind. Garth Mitchell was fatally shot on January 7 in Montego Hills, while 34-year-old Travis Warren was killed in Coral Gardens on January 8. Reports are that on January 7, police were in pursuit of Mitchell, following reports of unlawful wounding and destruction of property. The police say Mitchell allegedly held on to the M16 rifle of an officer and also bit the officer. It's reported that colleagues of the officer then discharged their weapons, hitting Mitchell. Meanwhile, on January 8, police responded to reports that Warren allegedly attacked and chopped a woman. During the law enforcers' response, Warren reportedly disarmed an officer of his weapon. Police reportedly respond by firing their weapons at Warren. Another person was reportedly shot and injured in the incident. All injured people were taken to the hospital for treatment. Indicom says the officers involved will be required to either provide a statement or be interviewed at the office of the commission. Lawyers join Sykes in objection to violence producers tag. The Cornwall Bar Association, CBA, is throwing its support behind statements recently issued by Chief Justice Brian Sykes, questioning the increasing use of the term violence producers in reference to persons who are accused by the police of involvement in violent criminal activities. CBA President Michael Hemmings on Monday said that he and his fellow lawyers object to the term and are calling for discontinuation of its use. I agree with the comments made by the Chief Justice, as the law makes provisions for the appropriate labels to be given to the accused individuals. For example, there is person of interest, where the person is wanted by the police or questioning; suspect, where the person is suspected of committing an offense; accused man, where the person is charged on offense; and convict, where the person has been convicted of a crime, said Hemmings. I would not say its use is an entrenched practice, but it is certainly a phrase that I have objected to my clients being called, and other defense attorneys likewise object. This is more so a warning to those who use said phrase that they should refrain from doing so, Hemmings added. On Friday, January 6, in speaking out against the use of the term, Sykes stressed that it is a court of law which should determine whether a person has committed a crime. It is a criminal law that determines whether a crime has been committed, and it is a court which determines whether a person should be branded a criminal at the end of the trial process and assuming that there is a conviction. We have a number of terms being used now, such as violence producers, but we don't know who those are, Sykes argued. Is it defined? How do we get to these expressions? The expectation seems to be that once a particular arm of the executive defines them as such, then that is supposed to be accepted without question by the judiciary. Just to say that has never been and cannot be so, he argued. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson said during a press briefing on December 6, 2022, that more than 300 persons described as violence producers were on the Jamaica Constabulary Force's radar. Members of the government have also embraced and have been using the term for some time. Commenting further on Sykes' stance, Hemmings said that nowhere in the law is there any provision to call an accused person a violence producer. It has been a term coined by the police and used by the police over the years, and oftentimes it was relied on as a basis to object to bail and to detain a person under state of emergency, said Hemmings. In sports news, Arnett Gardens ended Mount Pleasant's unbeaten run in JPL. Arnett Gardens ended Mount Pleasant to face unbeaten run in the Jamaica Premier League after outscoring them 3-2 at the Anthony Spalding Sports Complex in Kingston on Monday evening. Despite finishing the game with 10 players, after a substitute Rashiki Nelson was sent off, Arnett Gardens won their second game in a row to move to 17 points and in third place. Javonte Stewart scored both of Mount Pleasant's goals, scoring in 3 straight games to take his tally of the season to 10. The loss notwithstanding, Mount Pleasant held on to their lead on 20 points, one more than Cavalier FC, who came from behind to beat Umberland 2-1 in the first game of the doubleheader. Arnett Gardens led 2-0 at halftime, as Fabian Reed gave Arnett Gardens the lead in the 26th minute, and Amari Deacon added a second in time added at the end of the first half. Stewart pulled one back from Mount Pleasant when he scored 4 minutes into the second half, but Ajumi Johnson restored Arnett Gardens' 2-goal cushion with a 57th minute goal. Arnett Gardens were reduced to 10 men after Nelson clotheslined Mount Pleasant Kimani Campbell, and the Centre club further carved into the deficit when Stewart got his second goal from the penalty spot in time added in the second half to set up a close finish. In the first game, Cavalier FC snapped Umberland's 4 games unbeaten run with 2 second-half goals from Colin Anderson. Andrew Vanzi gave Umberland the lead in the 21st minute, but Anderson equalized in the 49th minute and then scored the winner in the 63rd minute. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.